Manchester United back again, Brighton. Now, a 3-0 victory over Partizan Belgrade should hopefully give Manchester United a bit more confidence again, because we are starting to score goals at last. Now, yes, it was against a team that are very, very poor, but in the past we haven't been able to do that. Against Astana we struggled to do that, and against Rochdale in the Cup we struggled to score goals. It was Mason Greenwood strikes in them against very poor opposition that got us out of the shit in the end in them games. And we're getting with the front three of Mason Greenwood, Anthony Martial and Marcus Rashford in form. That is frightening for a lot of defences in and around Europe. But they've got to be in form, they've got to get more consistent. All three of them have got to be more consistent. I know Greenwood's only young, it's going to take time, but the front three have got to be more consistent, because no one else seems to be carrying that burden from midfield or even from defence to chip in with 1 or 2 goals at all. And that has been a real problem for Manchester United this season, and it's going to continue to be until at least we get Paul Pogba back, who could maybe create some more chances and at least will probably add a few goals to the Manchester United midfield. So going into this game, is anyone confident that Manchester United are going to get 3 points? Some people might be, I don't know, but Brighton is going to be a stiff test. They've been in quite good form this season, to be honest. I think they're a bit higher than mid-table, to be honest. They're a bit higher than Manchester United. I think they've scored 14 goals and let 14 in. I can't remember what. I mean, they're a little bit higher than Manchester United, and to be honest, it's going to be a stiff test for Manchester United. Now, I think the starting lineup is going to be a big, massive hint as to how this game is going to go for Manchester United. I would personally like to see a similar lineup that we played against Partizan Belgrade, again against Brighton. I think it's a much better lineup than we're putting out in the league, to be honest. Obviously we've got to make one change at the back at least. Obviously David Hill will probably come back and goal, so that'll be one change. But in defence, I would like to see obviously Ashley Young can't play, so I'd like to see Brandon Williams take the left back spot. Obviously it will be Wan-Bissaka at right back, and then it's probably going to be Rojo and Maguire, because I think Lindelof's injured. So it will have to be Brandon Williams then at left back if that's the case, because we can't play Jones at centre half and Rojo at left back. That is just, Jones can't be playing for Manchester United. Now midfield, probably going to, what is he going to go for? I mean, Juan Mata was pretty damn, I thought it was pretty decent in that game, in that sort of attacking role. So I would personally like to go with the forward line we went for in that game. Anthony Martial, Rashford, Greenwood, and obviously Mata, and then McTominay and Fred. I'll be happy to go with that. I think that is probably about the best lineup that Manchester United could get out at this moment in time. James, yes, Daniel James has been decent for Manchester United, better than I expected for Manchester United, but personally I think Mason Greenwood is better. I think Mason Greenwood deserves to start this game. He scored 3 goals in 4 starts, I think, this season, so you can't argue with that. He's producing when he's played. There's no point bringing him on the pitch with 5-10 minutes to go. That is just not long enough to make an impact. You've got to be starting this geezer. He will score goals, there's no question about it. He's much more of a goal threat than obviously Daniel James. Yes, Daniel James has got very good pace, does create chances, has got a few assists this season, but I just think his level's above him. And I think to have played the amount of games that he has this season, Daniel James, I think it is credit to him, because I don't think many people thought that at the start of the season that he would be featuring week in, week out for Manchester United. To be honest, I thought for the first 6 months he'd probably be a squad player, and he's been more than that. So if we take him out the firing line for a little bit, so be it. I think Greenwood really deserves a chance. That forward three of Martial, Rashford and Greenwood, I think, can cause teams problems. I really do. I think there's a goal threat there when they're in form. They've got to be more consistent. Rashford and Martial have got to take that burden off Greenwood a bit and score more goals. I mean, in the week we should have got 4, 5, 6 goals, and that is the only disappointing thing, because it won't matter in that sort of game where Manchester United have come up against shit opposition, but in other games where you've got to take your chances. I mean, Rashford missed some chances early on to put us 1-0 up, and games can change on that. So got to be more clinical and score more goals. That is a fact, and definitely when given penalties, got to take them, got to be scoring them penalties. So overall, am I confident? If he puts that team out, then yes, I would be confident. If he plays Lingards and Pereiras in this game, I'm just not going to be confident that Manchester United are going to win, to be honest, because they're really not hacking it this season. They've not been good enough at all for Manchester United, and shouldn't be played in that attacking midfield role, or on the left or the right hand side, which we've tried to utilise Pereira in a number 10 on either side, and it's just not worked for me for Manchester United. He's had about one, maybe two okay games this season, just not good enough, not nowhere near the level of Greenwood. Shouldn't be getting in the starting lineup for me, and that is just my theory. But Pereira will probably be back in the starting lineup tomorrow. So will Daniel James, and Mason Greenwood will probably be on the bench, and there'll be less of a goal threat for me. But that's my overall thoughts on this. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. I mean, they could cause Manchester United problems. As I say, they've been in decent form. I haven't actually watched them play this season, but they've been in okay form this season. I would have thought they would be one of the, maybe not the favourite to go down this season. Obviously, the worst teams I thought were the likes of Newcastle, Norwich, teams like that. But they have surprised me a little bit. They've had some decent wins, and they're about just above mid-table in the league. So if they could finish just above, maybe a little bit below mid-table, they'd have done very, very well, Brighton, this season. So I'm going to go for Manchester United winning this game somehow. I'm going to go for Manchester United winning it 2-1. Let me know your thoughts on the game. I mean, I think Manchester United will be easier to break this team down if I think a good key factor for Manchester United, obviously, is getting Mata and Greenwood in the starting lineup again for this game. I think that Mata, although he's past his best and not scoring the goals, not the threat he was, looked a lot better at Manchester United with him in the team in that game against Partizan. We really did, and we can get him and Greenwood on the pitch. I think Manchester United will be much better, to be honest, and I think we've got a much better chance of winning this game. Let me know your thoughts. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll talk to you all again soon. See ya.